when somebody hurts you, part of the healing process is to forgive them. And it usually takes a little bit of time before that actually happens. It takes like sometimes repeated forgiveness. I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you have to keep saying this and you have to keep acknowledging it in order to get through to forgiveness. And the way you know that you have forgiven someone for hurting you is when you have forgotten how they hurt you. Which at some point during the healing process seems absolutely insane. Like you will never accomplish that. You know exactly what they did, when they did it, the date, the time, the second, or the minute, the second. Yeah. Most people think when they hear that it is absolutely impossible. But then you get a year or two down the road and you think about the incident and you're like, what did they do again? And you realize that you have actually healed. You have actually forgiven because you can't remember. Now, you may be able to strain. You may, if you put some effort into it, you may be able to recall the incident and say, oh yeah, that's what they did. And that's why we're not friends. And, but if you initially think about this person and why you don't have a conversation with them anymore, or why you don't, if you initially think, now, why did we stop talking? You have completed forgiveness. But this video is not about forgiving other people. This video is to remind you that you have to forgive yourself. And in some situations, forgiving yourself is more important than forgiving other people. And the reason for that is because we always blame ourselves for having some part in everything that goes bad in our lives. It's just the way it is. And a lot of people don't even realize that they do that. So let's say you have a boyfriend and he cheats on you. And you're mad that he's cheated on you. And you work to heal it. You don't want to see him anymore. You're working on healing it and forgiving it. At some point in the future, you hope to fully forgive. But you don't think about the effect that it's had on you, other than the fact that it hurt you. That somebody else deliberately did something to hurt you. So you feel like a victim. But there is another component to that. And that component is, I was hurt by this person, but I allowed it to happen. There were signs. I saw the signs. I knew this person wasn't a good person. Somewhere along the line, you're going to stop and you're going to think, I knew it. I saw the signs. I avoided them. I didn't pay attention to them. And then They cheated on me. Well, guess what? Now you get to forgive yourself for not protecting yourself, for not watching out for yourself, for not watching your back, for not walking away before they had the chance to hurt you. And that is hard to do. But it is an absolutely necessary step in the healing process. And a lot of people, like a ridiculous amount of people, don't realize that they need to forgive themselves. Now, in every person, in every human being, you have a male, a female, and an inner child. So you have a whole family within your physical body. These are all aspects of you. And when your male side doesn't protect your female side the way it expects to, it feels guilty. It feels responsible. It feels bad. And the female side does the same thing, only in different situations. And then the inner child is all about insecurity, and there's stuff going on there too. So, what you want to do is you want to work on forgiving in every situation. And I mean every situation. If you go to a party and something pops off at this party and you get emotionally damaged by something, you want to remember to deal with the actual issue, whatever it was that caused the problem in the first place, which is probably another person. But above and beyond that, you want to make sure that you come back and you work on forgiving yourself. Because in every situation, no matter how small or how big, we will always blame ourselves in some way, shape, or form. We will put the blame on ourselves. We will literally attack ourselves at some point during the healing process for allowing that thing to happen. Even though we didn't know it was going to happen, we didn't start it, we didn't instigate it, it just happened. Like somebody was a jerk and they decided to do or say something that was really bad. We will take responsibility for part of that naturally. And some may go, why would I even think of that? Other people go, oh yeah, well, I do kind of have, some responsibility in that, because there were signs, there were things, when I first met this person, they did this, 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 and this, and it kind of made me uneasy, but I wasn't really sure why. Now I know why. We will blame ourselves for not being more aware, more intuitive, more cautious, more protective, more whatever the thing is, we will blame ourselves every single time. And if you get to be 25, 30 years old and you don't know this, and you have never done any kind of healing work, you're going to have a whole lot of things that you're going to have to heal all the way up to the point where you're at in life, because the more of those things that happen and the more of those things that you don't look at and you don't heal from and you don't learn from. So let's say that you're 18 years old and you have between 18 and 25, you have 10 different friends that all hurt you in a particular way. And you kind of do some healing work, but not really. And now you're at 25 and you don't really trust people, and your friend group has gotten a lot smaller, and it's harder for you to make friends because of past things that have happened. But you're still not feeling all that great. Even kind of cutting off, friends. And there's something wrong, but you're really not sure what it is. It is likely that the problem is the fact that you have never stopped to forgive yourself for allowing these things to happen to you from 18 to 25. And if you've repeated cycles, the same thing, like let's say every girlfriend you have cheats with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband, or, there's some weird dynamic going on like that. Or they all end up lying to you. By the time you hit 25, you're not going to want to make friends anymore. And you're not going to trust yourself enough to decide if this person that you've just met is going to make a good friend or not. And the reason you don't trust yourself is because you've never healed, you've never forgiven yourself for not taking care of you all the way through from 18 to 25. So it is very important. It is also very important not to lie to yourself. You have a relationship with yourself. If your relationship with yourself is not healthy, you can't have a healthy relationship outside of yourself. You need to have an honest, healthy, healed relationship with yourself first. So don't lie to yourself. Don't say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 6 months, and then not do anything to actually lose the 30 pounds, like diet or exercise. You have to actually follow it up with things that you're going to do, right? And if you don't do that, if you just randomly say all the time you're going to do something, oh, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to quit drinking, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take a walk every day. Every time you don't follow through, you have just lied to yourself. If you will lie to yourself, you will lie to another person. Your relationship with yourself is the single most important relationship there is. So you have to be able to get up and look at yourself in the mirror every day and be happy with the face that's looking back at you. So self-forgiveness is a vital part of your relationship with yourself. Not lying to yourself is also a vital part of your relationship with yourself, just like it is with other people. If you focus on healing or forgiving other people and you don't focus on healing yourself or forgiving yourself, then you're not going to heal properly. You're not going to heal the important part, which is the relationship that you have with yourself. So go back. Think about times when you were, hurt by other people. And see how you feel. Just kind of think about the situation and see if you have any ill feelings towards that person, or if you have any, check in with yourself. Say, do I have any ill feelings about myself about this situation? And I'll bet you'll find out that you do, and you didn't even know you did. It will help a lot if you can take one particular situation and just think about that situation. Think about how you feel about the person who created the problem in the first place, or who did the damage in the first place, and think about how you feel about how you handled the situation, or how you healed from this situation. And if you find that there's any intense feelings, any anger, any animosity, any negative type of emotions going on there, it is not healed. And you either need to fully forgive this person, or you need to forgive yourself. And if you can do that, and you can do that with every situation, there is never a situation where you will not feel a need to forgive yourself for, at the very, very least, for allowing it to happen, for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, for picking the wrong friend, for not going to work that day, for not, staying in bed that morning. There are 1,000 different scenarios. And you have to forgive yourself. You have to make self-forgiveness part of your healing process. Give it a try. Take a situation that caused a lot of damage, and just sit down and think about the situation, and think about the people that were involved, and think about your feelings about them and about yourself. Write down what you feel. And it will be so obvious if you have healed, if you have forgiven them, if you have forgiven everybody involved, and if you have forgiven yourself. And if you haven't forgiven yourself, work on forgiving yourself for whatever it was that you think you could have done differently to avoid that pain. Chances are, the reality is nothing. The reality is you had a lesson to learn, and you had to go through that pain. But that does not stop that part of our psyche that says you could have been someplace else during that time, or you could have been doing something else during that time. You screwed up. You didn't protect yourself. And I mean to tell you, everybody does this. Everybody does this. People may not admit that they do this, but everybody does it. Okay, maybe not sociopaths, but you get my point. Love and blessings.